Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you brothers out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth and sincerity. It's the brother Yahudan coming out here. Wanted to do a video on this strike that the U.S. did today. Most of y'all brothers have probably already heard about it by now, but yet further evidence towards who the Satan incarnate is in the flesh. It's these so-called Caucasians. All right, these so-called white people who are really biblically Edomites. And we can prove that with the scriptures. And there's no doubt about that. And this man continues to fulfill prophecy. These nations continue to fulfill prophecy every day. And this man continues to expose himself, this devil, for who he truly is, which is the devil.
Very good evening to you. My name is Neil Harvey. You're watching RT International. The United States has dropped its largest non-nuclear bomb on an ISIL target in Afghanistan. It's the very first time that the weapon has been used on the battlefield.
For the first time in combat, the U.S. military dropped a 21,000-pound bomb inside the Air Force, inside the military. It quite seriously is referred to as the mother of all bombs.
Well, indeed, it's another day.
So it's a giant bomb that basically has the payload devastation to wipe out an area, surface area, a blast radius of a mile. You know, that's a big missile there that Esau has developed, his technology. And the scriptures say the Edomites' blessing, being Esau, you know, Jacob and Esau, Esau's blessing would be the sword. All right, the sword being, you know, an instrument to kill. And the missile would qualify as that. And, you know, you look at history and who has developed the most effective and efficient instruments of killing in history. All right, these so-called Caucasians, you know, they have these firearms, their guns. In fact, a lot of the wars that Esau won in antiquity, and even now to this very day, has been won through the gun. Now they've developed more advanced technologies like, you know, missile technologies and radar systems and you know, aircrafts, things of that nature that, you know, possess the capability to inflict massive destruction and damage on a populace or an environment, you know, cause massive casualties to you know, an environment. You know, this man is an efficient tool of destruction, and that's what Esau Edom is. These so-called Caucasians are instruments of destruction. They're currently being used by who the world calls God and Jesus Christ, whose real names is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to basically play out this role of the wicked on the earth today, the biblical wicked. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our first scripture here. Genesis 27:37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? So basically what's happening in this chapter is Esau is finding out that Jacob had supplanted him for his birthright and blessing. We all know that Esau sold his birthright for the raw meat and lentils. Okay, and he goes on afterwards and gets supplanted by Jacob, Salak, with help from Rebekah, to supplant Esau from his birthright. All right. So this is Esau asking Isaac, his father, after the fact, what Isaac was capable of giving unto Esau, now being the role of the secondborn, being supplanted by Jacob. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So in this circumstance, you can, you know, that's even how a so-called Caucasian reacts to things that they don't get. When things don't go their way, or, you know, they're losing a fight, you know, you look at a Caucasian, so-called, and they'll turn around and stab you in the back, you know, wait till you're not looking, or sucker punch you, kick you in your balls, and then attack you. You know, they do real cheap stuff like that. You know, Esau's not a very honorable man. being the wicked. And there's really only one nation of people that really truly fit that role. You have the heathen nations and the Gentiles that are not confusion of faces in the scriptures, which are just as wicked. Here it is that, and they're sharing the same technology and prowess with Esau, Edom, these so-called Caucasians, being that of America, all right, Russia, and other forms of first world countries where they've developed this technology to wreak massive destruction. So Esau is freaking out because he didn't get his blessing from Isaac being the firstborn. Which would ultimately turn out to be what Jacob received the promise through Abraham, Isaac, and then what would have been Esau had he had played his cards right, which of course never would have happened because the scriptures are preordained. But that was the line of righteousness, the righteous seed. Went through Shem, and then Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, so Esau pretty much put himself assed out at that point. Like I said, it was already written beforehand, but this is what Isaac blessed Esau with, these so-called Caucasians. Let's see if they fit this role. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. So Esau's blessing would be the most prominent nation on earth right now. And that's how you identify your biblical Edomite. All right, who's on top of the world? Who has been given the kingdom of the earth? All right, through history, the Roman Empire, and then into modern day Europe, and then eventually America and Russia, and you have the three powerhouses invented. Or I wouldn't say they personally invented, but started developing the major known world that we see today, and all these other nations follow in suit, which was also preordained in the Bible. that the Edomites, it's a part of the fatness of the earth, and they live the most lavish lifestyles. They'll go to other people's countries, that might not be as capable of defending themselves, and do things like this, And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, which he never did. But the key point is the sword. Okay, part of that sword, an instrument of killing. Like I said, it could be a rock or a pencil or your hands. But this man, another identification caught red-handed is the development of the firearm. And then you have this military technology that he's developed in modern day society, which you have things like this Moab bomb right here that can have a blast radius of a mile in diameter, which is like I said, an efficient killing machine. He fulfills his purpose, but at the same time, he's revealing himself spiritually through the Bible to be the Edomites. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing. Hold on, Salak. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, and thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, which they didn't do. All right, which is a large part of the reason why Esau, Edom, the so-called Caucasians, are going to go into slavery. Part of this World War III. This is what this is going to spill out and spin out to, is the culmination in the hot war of World War III. All right. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So once he got done mourning after Isaac had passed to the spirit world, Esau's been dead set on slaying Jacob, man. The Israelites, the 12 tribes. And that's further identification who the biblical Edomites are, as well as who the biblical Israelites are. Because you look in society, you look around, who's killing who on a massive scale. Let's look at history, examine history, and the evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt, and you can't even argue with it. It's overwhelming evidence. These Edomites have done nothing. These so-called Caucasians have done nothing but slain Israelites, being today so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. And a large part of that destruction, he's also taking part on these heathens. And there's going to be confusions of faces that are spread with the nations as well. So ultimately, judgment is prophecy being fulfilled here. 2 Thessalonians 2:1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So before the falling of Jerusalem and Israel, that son of perdition wasn't totally evident at that point. Who the son of perdition was, the Satan incarnate in the flesh. What nation of people were the Edomites, which have later been the Salak, the son of perdition? All right, biblically prophesied in the Old and the New Testament to bring and usher in, the end times, the judgment day. All right, that great and terrible day that's like no other. And it's clear that this so-called Caucasian is that man. He lines up directly with these prophecies and what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So with that, we'll go ahead and play this clip.
Another major party for the military-industrial complex in the United States. Now, all networks are gleefully reporting about the biggest non-nuclear bomb ever dropped by U.S. military on a battlefield. It's called Massive Ordnance Air Blast Bomb, or MOAB, or in its other name, the mother of all bombs, and it's a 21,600-pound...
And spiritually, it's ironic that this devil named it Moab, because these Edomites, they ultimately know, even these low-class Edomites, but the elites, they know that they are the wicked, and that they are the biblical Edomites. So this devil has the nerve to put Moab, which is a nation of people, the so-called Chinese, on his weapon of war, man. His sword, I should say. Let's keep it toward the scriptures to make it easier to line up here, because this man is completely exposing himself.
GPS-guided munition that is America's most powerful non-nuclear bomb. First time used in combat. It's not actually a fresh munition. It was in fact developed during the Iraq War, but it's the first time that it has been used. And just a reminder that it's only a week since the U.S. missile strikes on Syria, and it almost feels like the show us trend has become something of a form of art in the United States under the presidency of Donald Trump.
And see, what this devil's doing is flexing his sword, man. Because you have these two powerhouses deadlocked in Syria right now, fighting over this pipeline that will, ultimately feed the, United Kingdom, the EU, the beast, the system. And what the U.S. is trying to do right now is exclude Russia from that pipeline, completely exclude the Russians out of that pipeline. And that's why Russia is supporting Syria, also being their ally, from this frontal attack by the United States, which, if you dig deep into it, you'll find out that this devil, these so-called Caucasians, this government in the United States and the EU, is being run by the elites, which are these so-called Israelites in Israel, in the land of Israel now. And furthermore, they're using these proxy armies in these Middle Eastern countries to destabilize the environment so that they can usher in a replacement dictator or president or something of that nature to further control that area's resources and develop it and push and spread its demonic democracy, which ultimately is what America has broken down to. That word democracy is demo, which means demon. All right, and Krasi, which would mean rule, so demon rule. So that's another identifier on who the biblical Edomites are, who they would be. They would take their culture and society, and they would share that with the nations and around the world. And here it is; it's beyond evident that all the nations on the earth, all these other nations, have modeled their economic systems and their their banking systems and their currency systems and their military and technologies and school structure and pretty much our ideology from these so-called Caucasians. This is what they call themselves these days. All right, also known as Idumeans, but mainly that spiritual wicked Cain. All right, which came back in the reincarnation as Esau and then the reincarnation of the nation of Edom.
Who actually reflected on another military-related development with the U.S. fleet heading towards the shores of North Korea, with the situation escalating there.
We are sending an armada, very powerful. We have submarines, very powerful, far more powerful than the aircraft carrier, that I can tell you.
Well, you can hear the language there, but again, we don't know what's going to happen on the Korean Peninsula with the situation at a stalemate there. But just let's go back a week ago to...
So, here it is. You have this bomb being dropped in Afghanistan. All right. They're destabilizing Syria. They had the sarin gas attacks. All right. And there's an agenda that's being played out here. We have these two powerhouses that are maneuvering their equipment and their forces to try and get aligned to win this war. Who's going to win World War III in this Cold War scenario that we're in right now? All right. Also a note of mention that they're mobilizing forces on North Korea now, supposedly as well. A lot of brothers have pushed documents and videos on the fact that Esau is blowing that situation in North Korea out of water, specifically to, gain a strategic position on China and Russia, and have a further, ability to advance on those artificial islands that they've produced in the South China Sea as well.
When 59 Tomahawk missiles were fired on the Syrian airbase from the sea, and the reaction from the mainstream media, which hardly was any different from the rhetoric used by Trump.
We see these beautiful pictures at night. I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, "I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons."
Okay, and then they also had this airstrike too, which I almost forgot about. This devil Trump, so-called Caucasians in the United States authorized the 59 Tomahawk cruise missile strike on a so-called Syrian rebel base. And keep in mind, like I was saying before, that they, employ these mercenary proxy army agents to go in these countries and destabilize the environment in an attempt to dethrone and remove the current political regime in that area, so that way they can bring their society and culture and democracy into play in that environment. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. And this is all being done in hopes to strategically improve the chances of both sides of this Cold World War III situation, which we're witnessing right now. Which, back to the scriptures, it's saying, who showed and opposeth himself like God. So you can see the Most High, the power here, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, authorizing mass judgment, mass death, a lot of death happening around the world right now. You have the passing of the celebrity in Esau's kingdom, Charlie Murphy. A lot of judgment, a lot of Jake getting cast out, a lot of Jake getting, Mashapatayim. You got a lot of stuff, a lot of people, a lot of nations, a lot of death around the world right now that is progressively becoming worse and worse. This further prophecy of these end times, these rumors of wars and so on and forth. All right, so we're getting very close to this time like never before. All right, the scriptures refer as Jacob's trouble. All right, but more so, these Edomites are exposing themselves in these last days as to who they are. All right, with their weapons and playing God. The Most High has authorized Esau through the sword back in Genesis to have the capability to slay an incredible amount of people efficiently with something like this Moab bomb. Okay, and then imagine when these nuclear devices start getting rolled out, notably the Satan II missile, intercontinental ballistic missile that Russia has, they've recently developed. an incredible payload, incredible devastation, nuclear power. Which this one that was dropped today was not nuclear powered. However, like the gentleman was explaining, has a massive payload destruction. So it's things like that, that who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, and that's what Esau does. He wants to be God. That's a prophecy who would identify the son of perdition, the man of sin, the wicked, Satan incarnate. And there's only one nation of people, one race per se. They hide behind the name Caucasians or white, when in reality they're the devil in the flesh, and spiritually they have Satan within their spirits. All right, they're slaying, thousands and millions of people, probably even billions when you go back into ancient history, and you have the genocide of the Northern Kingdom and the amount of killing that Esau's done to the Israelites, which goes back to the scriptures, man. He said, I will slay my brother Jacob. All right, what nation of people, one group of people has been slayed like that? And it's been brushed under the rug, which also is scriptural. All right, that not only proves who the biblical Edomites are, but that also clearly identifies who the biblical Israelites are. It really goes hand in hand, man, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful how the Most High has balanced this whole story out, this whole movie. But moving on, I didn't want to make this too long. Already approaching the 20-minute mark. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. Right. So before, the understanding of who the biblical Edomites hadn't yet been known, who Satan incarnate was in the flesh. And that's why it's important as an Israelite now that we understand that we've been awoken again, who our enemies are. And that these scriptures are for the Israelites only. And involving these other nations will only lead to our own destruction, which it already has. So, it's time for us to learn from our mistakes, do the best we can to stay vigilant and diligent, and keep our eyes peeled, because this devil is over here making massive strides, telling all on himself. All right, remember these things that he might be revealed in his time. So see, if your eyes are open and your ears are open, you're able to see this man, this system, this society for what it really is, which is a scheme. It's a machine. All right, a perfectly calculated machine of destruction and wickedness. All right, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the Lord is basically lifting up the so-called Caucasian race in America and the EU and Russia, and then these counterpart heathen nations such as China and these other nations, to basically fight the Messiah when he returns. And the culmination of that's going to happen during the start of World War III, when it goes hot. We're in this Cold War situation now, but that wicked man being revealed. So he's already over here flexing, and the dude mentioned it in the video a moment ago. But that's what they're doing. They're showing off right now. They're showing their military prowess. All right, Russia does those military shows all the time, where they they roll out their military and their missile defense systems and their mobile intercontinental ballistic missile launchers and their jets and their helicopters and everything that you can think of, man. And all of that is going to go back to that time when this World War III goes hot. The Messiah returns, Yahushai, and they try to fight Yahushai and his army of angels, which are going to be coming back in those chariots, those so-called UFOs. That the devil, you come to find that you can't trust Esau Edom, the system, the school system, or anything that you've been taught, because the majority of it is false. But what to expect from the man who is spiritually Satan? He's just doing his job. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, and with all power and signs and lying wonders. So that's what it's developed into, this chain reincarnation of the wicked. And through identifying that, we've gone from Cain to Esau, having that leprosy, that red mark, that curse that Cain got for slaying Abel. All right, the wicked, that wicked spirit. Now you have your so-called Caucasians, man. They hit by many names: Romans, Babylonians. That spiritually wicked platform, which has been consistently regenerated since the beginning. So even after the coming of Satan. All right. With all powers and signs and lying wonders.
NBC anchor Brian Williams got actually a lot of criticism for those statements, but nonetheless, also...
lying wonders, the attempts to try and go to space, or so-called space. The attempts to play God with these nuclear, weapons that are far out of these Edomites' control. No Edomite should have any type of technology like that, man. Imagine Satan himself having a nuclear missile, and that's the situation we're in, especially if you're not fully aware of who's who yet, So lying and signs and wonders, man. Flexing these bombs, creating massive thousands of casualties, hundreds of thousands of casualties a day. Has the most military bases around the world, past the cultural and ideologies that were developed in America and Europe across the world. Every nation inherited that walk, democracy, which means demon rule. All right, I'm going to end it on this. I'll do this one. Beat your plow, Joel 3 and 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. So these countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, those Middle Eastern countries, all in that little breadbasket right there, where Israel did stand prior to the fall. All right. All that stuff is going to provoke these nations to join sides, which is currently happening, and develop relationships with either, sticking with the U.S. and the beast, or going down the path of allying with Russia or China at this point, which is also, incredibly wicked themselves. But, here it is, you're going to start seeing more and more of these countries take sides, which a lot of the times has been done in World War I and World War II. Prior to a world war actually happening, you have nations of countries basically decide who's going to win the war and whose interest it would be in beneficial to them to side with, So that's what's going to happen. All this is doing is provoking these nations into war, man. The stuff that's happening in Syria, people aren't going to take that, man. You kill a man and his child, or if you're a man, they kill your children, they kill your daughter, your dog, your cat, your woman. They take everything that you have from them or from you. They level your entire city, all in the name of democracy and terrorism, man. So this provocation is going to keep escalating, especially over here in North Korea. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. It's also going to be interesting to see how these nations progress in Syria, because this devil Trump is provoking Russia and China and the rest of these nations, man. And biblically, let's say the Bible, they're going to bite back. They're going to sharpen their pruning hooks and their instruments into weapons. All right. So with that, hopefully this was edifying. Say shalom for now.